The halls were quiet. The sky outside was still black, painted only with hints of deep indigo, stars fading with the approach of morning. Inside his dorm room, Izuku Midoriya sat on the edge of his bed, tying his boots with trembling hands. The call had come through only 4 hours ago, the mission was greenlit. The plan was finalized. The raid on the Shihasekai compound was happening today. But sleep had not found him. His heart raced like a war drum in his chest. His body hummed with nervous fire, and somewhere deep inside, a sickening twist of guilt festered. They had Eri. And we let her go. There was a soft knock. "Aiju," came Kyuka's voice. He opened the door. She was already dressed in her stealth gear, hair up, earpieces clipped, and that usual quiet worry in her eyes. They didn't speak. He stepped forward, and she wrapped her arms around him tightly. He sank into her. "We'll bring her back," she whispered. "We'll finish this." 4:10 a.m. Common area. Katsuki Bakuga sat on the couch, arms crossed, glaring into space with an intensity that was almost unhinged. His leg bounced restlessly, palms occasionally sparking as he replayed the briefing over and over in his head. He hadn't slept either. He didn't say much when Kirishima showed up beside him with 2 cups of hot coffee. The red-haired boy offered one and leaned back, watching the shadows of morning crawl across the walls. "Kinda crazy, huh?" Kirishima said. "Feels like we've been waiting forever for this, and now, here it is." Bakuga didn't answer for a moment. Then, quietly, "They shot Tamaki with that bullet." Kirishima's eyes darkened. "Yeah. We ain't letting that happen again." "No, we're not." They clinked their cups together. 5:02 a.m. Operation Staging Grounds, Nighty HQ. The Big Three. The Elite Squad. The Pros. The mood was thick with tension as over a dozen heroes and sidekicks gathered under the grey early dawn. The compound map was displayed in full holographic detail on a mobile operation truck screen. Nighty stood front and center, arms behind his back. "This is a multi-pronged breach. Time is not our ally. Our goal, retrieve the subject, Eri, and subdue the Shihasekai leaders, particularly Overhaul." "Ryukyu's squad," he continued, nodding to Kyuka and Nejaya, "will be stationed at 3 exits surrounding the compound. Your job is to intercept reinforcements, contain the perimeter, and ensure no escape." Ryukyu looked to her girls. "You know what to do. The rest of us, Mirio, Midoriya, Kirishima, Bakuga, Fat Gum's team and I, we're going in through the front and underground levels. We're expecting high resistance and unpredictable quirks boosted by trigger." Kyuka shot a glance toward Izuku. He hadn't spoken much since arriving. But his jaw was clenched, green fire quietly pulsing around his knuckles. Bakuga was pacing like a caged beast. "We move at 05:30, Aizawa said. "Everyone, lock in. Check your gear. No hero dies today." 5:28 a.m. outside the Shihasekai compound. Rain began to fall. Thin and whispering, barely more than mist, but cold and real. The sun hadn't yet crested the horizon. A fine fog rolled across the road, settling low along the bushes and abandoned structures that surrounded the building's compound. The calm before the chaos. Kirishima tapped his armor once and cracked his neck. "Hey, guys. Let's do this with no regrets." Bakuga popped his gauntlets. "TCH. You better not slow me down, damn it." Izuku looked up at the compound, then down at his gloved hands, where flame barely licked the surface now, controlled. Restrained. Ready. Beside him, Kyuka adjusted her jacks and nodded once, silently. From inside the compound POV, overhaul. He stared at the monitors. They're early. The villains around him shifted nervously. One, a thin man with long limbs and yellow eyes, bit his fingernails. They won't get far. Let them come. Overhaul walked calmly over to the reinforced door where Eri sat curled in the corner, pale and shaking. He said nothing, merely crouched and looked at her. She stared at him in silence. The world's full of filth, little one, he said softly. We're just cleaning it up. 5:30 a.m. breach commences. A mechanical crack sounded as Fat Gum and Nighty kicked down the main gate. A siren wailed inside. Now, came Nighty's command. Izuku launched himself forward, fire igniting beneath his feet in green-blue bursts, diving through the breach. Kirishima followed behind, hardening to full density. Bakuga rose into the air, gauntlets exploding downward as he cleared the perimeter wall with raw blast force. And from above, Kyuka and Nejaya soared, wind rushing past their ears, scanning the rooftops and corners for movement. This was it. They were heroes now. No turning back. Point of view, Sir Nighty. Location, first floor Hasekai compound. The front breach happened swiftly, precise and overwhelming. Fat Gum, Nighty, and the other heroes poured into the building, accompanied by several police units assigned to clear out surface-level threats. The ground floor was crawling with foot soldiers, armed Yakuza grunts, minor quirk users, and panicked resistance. They were swiftly subdued, leaving only the core objective, locating and rescuing Eri. Sir Nighty moved with calm urgency through the corridor, flanked by Midoriya and Bakuga, both fire-clad and tense. The faint echoes of fights above were already growing distant. This way, he said, his voice unwavering. Chisaki is heading underground. He has her with him. A narrow stairwell hidden behind a false wall opened under his handprint. The group descended. And then, chaos split them. Point of view, Ijiro Kirishima. Location, lower-level bunker duel room. The wall exploded to his left, debris and smoke clouding the air. Kirishima. Stay with me. Fat Gum shouted. But it was too late. The floor collapsed beneath them, separating Kirishima and Fat Gum from the others. A pit trap. Reinforced and sealed. As the dust cleared, a massive figure stepped forward. Kendo Rapper. Been waiting for this, the bare-chested brawler bellowed. A real fight. Come on, Red. Kirishima's fists clenched. Let's go. We will return to this battle. Point of view, Izuku Midoriya. Location, lower-level sub-corridor. He was burning. Not in pain, but with fury. Eri. Chisaki. The fear in that little girl's eyes. He had to be stopped, right now. Izuku and Bakuga burst through a final heavy vault door into a large, sealed room lined with support columns and reinforced walls. In the center, slumped against a broken pillar, Mirio Togate, blood dripping from his mouth, suit torn and twitching slightly. But he was smiling. I slowed him down, Mirio said weakly. But, he's still moving, deeper. What happened? Bakuga demanded, fire flaring in both palms. He fused, he's using his quirk to reconfigure bodies. He's not alone. Be careful. He's down there. Izuku's eyes widened. He's still got Eri. Mirio gave a shaky nod. Sir Knighty turned cold. He won't get far. Come. Boom. The floor beneath them cracked again, this time from above. A wave of concrete exploded downward, and from the shadows of the destroyed hall, Kai Chisaki, Overhaul, emerged, merged grotesquely with two of his subordinates, body twisted and monstrous, arms sharp like surgical blades. Eri was on his shoulder, pale, unmoving. Point of view, Kai Chisaki. Thinking. They keep pushing. Always pushing. Like roaches underfoot. And that child, she's the key. The medicine. The cure. I will cleanse this world of false heroes if I have to burn every building to do it. I will rebuild it. My way. He raised his hand. The wall shattered like paper, rubble slicing the air toward the students and pro-hero. Point of view, Katsuki Bakuga. He didn't wait. Bakuga launched forward, propelling himself with a ground-shaking blast. Mid-air, he spun, palms flaring, releasing a flame jet spiral aimed at Overhaul's limbs. You think we'll just let you walk away, freak, he snarled. The fire struck Overhaul's left arm. It hissed, the mutated muscle recoiling. Chisaki screamed, and reacted. His quirk pulsed. The ground reassembled, spiking upward into spears. Point of view, Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya moved in sync, one for all at 30%, his body now surrounded by green sparks and flickering red-orange flame. He leaped through the traps, using short bursts from his feet to maneuver around the ever-changing terrain. Bakuga, pressure his left. I don't need you to tell me, damn nerd. They synced anyway. Izuku flipped over a massive slab and spat flame, a stream of concentrated fire laced with his new control technique. It coiled like a snake, guided by instinct and training, wrapping around Chisaki's upper arm to restrict his movement. You're not going to hurt her again. Izuku shouted. We're ending this, here. Chisaki snarled, spikes forming beneath his feet. Point of view, Sir Knighty. He watched the chaos unfold. His eyes had seen it already, the death. The broken future. He'd predicted blood, failure, and Midoriya lying cold at Chisaki's feet. But they weren't following the vision. They were breaking it. Bakuga's fire split to emerald now, an odd match to Midoriya's crackling scarlet. Together, they twisted fate. The final clash, Midoriya and Bakuga versus Overhaul. Bakuga and Izuku exchanged a glance mid-battle. No words. Just trust. Izuku leapt high, and Bakuga detonated behind him, giving him lift. With the last of his fuel, Izuku twisted, flame jetting from both boots and one palm. He spat a final gout of fire, superheated and sharpened by control and emotion. Chisaki screamed, shielding his face. Bakuga flew in from behind, a flaming uppercut hitting him square in the ribs, detonating mid-contact. Boom! The monster form shattered, pieces flying. Izuku caught Eri midair, shielding her with his body, rolling. Silence. Post-battle, Knighty's eyes. He stood frozen. His vision had been wrong. Midoriya was still standing. Bakuga stood just behind him, burned but grinning ferociously. Overhaul lay unconscious, beaten, still twitching. He changed the future. Eri stirred. And for the first time in years, Sir Nighty smiled. Scene 1, Underground silence after the storm. Point of view, Izuku Midoriya. Everything was quiet now, too quiet. Izuku's body screamed with exhaustion. He sat slumped against a pillar, cradling Eri in his arms, her tiny frame trembling against him. She hadn't said a word, but she hadn't let go of his shirt either. She was alive. Safe. "You're safe," Izuku whispered, his fingers running gently through her snowy hair. "I promise, no one will ever hurt you again." His flames, normally unruly, licked quietly around his shoulders, almost like they, too, understood this wasn't a time to burn. It was a time to protect. Bakuga stood just behind him, arms crossed, bruised and singed, but whole. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. They had won, together. Scene 2, Sir Nighty's revelation. Point of view, Sir Nighty. He watched them. Izuku, his successor in all but name. Bakuga, the fiercest will he'd ever seen in a teenager. And Eri, whose very life was the linchpin of this entire storm. And yet, his prediction had been wrong. I saw Midoriya dead. I saw only destruction. But here they were. Alive. Victorious. It rattled him, and gave him hope. Scene 3, the aftershock above ground. Time, 2 hours later. Location, temporary medical field station. Ryukyu's team had held their position flawlessly. The pros had secured all Yakuza reinforcements. Fat Gum had helped Kirishima recover, though the redhead's uniform was nearly in tatters. Inside a large tent, Mirio lay in a reinforced bed, his chest bandaged, arm in a sling, but he was smiling brightly. You should have seen those two. Katsuki and Midoriya, they didn't even hesitate. Ryukyu nodded. We heard the explosion from here. Recovery girl finished checking his chart. He lost a lot of blood, but it's stable now. His quirk's still there. Whatever Chiseki tried to do, it didn't fully take. Somehow, he resisted. Mirio grinned. I still got plenty of fight left. Just need to nap for a week. They all chuckled. Scene 4, Hero Community Reactions. Location, Pro Hero Dispatch Center 1 day later. Video footage. Satellite imaging. Quirk sensors. It had all recorded the battle underground. Aizawa stood at the monitor, arms crossed, watching the slowed feed, Izuku and Bakuga unleashing everything they had in complete coordination. Spitting fire, splitting terrain, and breaking the grip of fate itself. They shouldn't have been able to survive that, a hero murmured behind him. They didn't just survive, Aizawa said coolly. They won. Midnight let out a low whistle. Midoriya's flames have evolved. That wasn't just instinct. That was combat discipline. Strategy. And Bakuga matched it, Present Mick added. Controlled chaos, fueled by trust. Those two may become the future's top duo, said Gran Torino, watching quietly from the side. Not in spite of each other, but because of each other. Scene 5, Recovery Room. Eri's first smile. Point of view, Eri. She lay curled on a hospital bed, too small for the world, wrapped in soft blankets. But beside her sat Izuku. Reading. Not aloud, just quietly. She watched his eyes follow the page. His face soft. Safe. And for the first time, ever, she reached out, tugged at his sleeve. Mr. Green Fire, she whispered. Izuku looked up, blinking. My name's Izuku, he said softly, smiling. She nodded. Izuku. And then, after a moment of silence, she smiled. Small. Shy. But real. Scene 6, outside the recovery wing. Kyuka and Katsuki. Kyuka waited by the window, hands in her pockets, looking in on Izuku and Eri. Kyuka leaned against the wall beside her, arms crossed. He's different. Kyuka nodded. Yeah. But, still him. Kyuka glanced sideways. You all right? She hesitated, then nodded again. I will be. I'm just proud of him. We both should be, Kyuka muttered. Dumbass broke the future. Scene 7, Asa was briefing that night. The 4 students, Izuku, Kyuka, Kyuka, and Kirishima, stood quietly before Azawa. The room was dimly lit. The mission was over, but what came next was just as important. You disobeyed orders. You improvised. You pushed beyond your limits, Azawa said flatly. Then, he looked up from his clipboard. And you saved a life. Possibly more than one. The silence was deep. You 4 will be off the next few days. You've earned that. But when you return, his voice softened. We'll begin preparing you for what comes next. The real world. He looked each of them in the eye. You're not students anymore. You're heroes in training. And you've proven it. Scene 8, Quiet Night. Treehouse return. Later that night, under the stars, Kyuka and Izuku lay in the treehouse second level, wrapped together in a soft blanket. Neither said much. Kyuka just curled into him, listening to his heartbeat. You did good, she whispered. Izuku kissed the top of her head. We did. All of us. Scene 1, UA dormitory common room, early afternoon. The entrance to the dorm was silent before it swung open, and revealed Eri, pale but brave, stepping inside alongside Izuku, Kyuka, Kyuka, and Kirishima. A hush fell across the room. When they saw her walking, surviving, something shifted. Mina gasped, nearly dropping her soda. Denki looked stunned, frozen as if the world stopped. Shuji and Zero exchanged wide-eyed looks. Momo whispered, she's incredible. Izuku stepped forward and Azawa's voice, calm and firm, cut through. Give her space. Let her approach. Slowly, Akako Yurika knelt down and extended her hand. Hi, I'm Akako. We're your friends. Eri approached cautiously, place among her new classmates earned with nameless courage. Momo offered a plush toy shaped like a hero emblem. For when things feel big. Kyuka quietly slipped her earjack pouch into Eri's hand. To listen to music. Or set your voice to record stories. Behind them, Kyuka shifted, arms crossed, but didn't pull away as Eri squeezed the pouch with a soft thank you. Scene 2, Class 1A reunions and reactions. Laughter and tears mingled as friendships reknit themselves. Mina hugged Eri tightly, shushing welcome home. Takoyami, quietly observing, murmured, her resilience, it humbles me. Momo handed out snacks she had made, recovery treats turned laughter catalysts. Kyuka hovered in the back, scowling, but his gaze softened at Eri's grateful look. Kyuka, gentle but strong, brushed hair from Eri's forehead. I love you, Eri whispered after a while. Izuku hugged her, and for the first time, the room felt at peace. Scene 3, Azawa's personal assignments for the Elite Four. In a quiet meeting with Izuku, Bakuga, Kyuka, and Kirishima, Aizawa placed earpiece headsets before them. Each of you outperformed expectations. Now, specialized training begins. He assigned Izuku to Hatsum for flame control and gadget integration. Bakuga under Endeavor's team for precision and volatile power management. Kyuka training with Midnight and Present Mic for refined sound weaponry. Kirishima to continue strength and defense evolution with Fat Gum. You've earned a few days off, Aizawa concluded. But after that, no more student life. Scene 4 late evening comfort at the treehouse. That night, Izuku led Eri through the dorm yard to the hidden treehouse, its bricks alight with soft lamplight and pillows strewn for comfort. Kyuka had placed small cushions with soft music playing. Eri's eyes widened. Izuku, this is a place of quiet. If you ever need one. Eri touched a cushion, nodded softly. She curled up beside Izuku, her small hand in his. Kyuka sat close, shoulders relaxed. The night was silent. Safe. Soft touches. Quiet breaths. Kyuka whispered, "You're going to change everything." Izuku replied, "Together." They kissed, soft, grounding, filled with promise. Scene 5 2 days later, training kick-off. Izuku with Hatsum. In her lab, flame control drills, temperature regulation, launching microflares through shifting obstacles. Izuku's fire tuned like an engine, smooth, responsive. Hatsum smiled at his precision. Bakuga with Endeavor's crew. Complicated breather, endure calm, execute planned blasts. His explosions didn't scorch allies or surroundings. He learned restraint as art. Kyuka with Midnight and Mic. Precision sound pulses, layered echoes, subsonic disruption. Jirou created controlled sonic walls and traps. She harmonized chaos into symphony. Each returned with new scars and new confidence. Scene 6 midweek, dorm life snapback. Eri now lived in shared rooms near Aizawa's unit. She practiced rewind in supervised sessions, slowly growing used to her own power. During free time, she attended Class 1A lectures, quiet but curious. Akako showed her floating tricks. Jirou shared a guitar riff. Zuyu coaxed a ribbit from a frog sticker. The class watched as she laughed for the first time in years. Scene 7 growing romance amid rising hero pressure. Evenings became rushed. Training schedules. Mentor briefings. But Izuku and Kyuka found each other in quiet corners. A single text in the message board said, 9 p.m. treehouse. Need decompression time. J and I. They snuck up with ramen and tea, browsed new hero data, and planned their future. Kyuka leaned against him. It's hard. Izuku kissed her temple. Together is still better than alone. They made a small ritual, each night a single moment to connect. Scene 8 community acknowledgement. During Hero Commission live streams about the raid, Izuku and Bakuga became household names overnight. Professionals commented, they broke the prophecy. Aizawa's words hung in the report. They didn't just adapt, they reshaped their fate. Little banners appeared online. Kyuka's shockwaves lit up the skies. Izuku's flame is now legendary. But especially. Watch out world, the spark of Class 1A is no longer dorm room sized. In retrospect, Eri's presence brought them home. Aizawa's training plan sharpened them. But love, quiet, unwavering, honest, became the heartbeat reminding them. They may wield fire. They may command sound. But they fight for each other, and for people like Eri. Scene opens, dormitory common room, 7:13 a.m. The kitchen was quiet, sunlight streaming in soft amber hues through the half-drawn curtains. A faint sizzle rose from a frying pan. Standing at the stove, hair slightly messy and green locks damp from his early shower, Izuku Midoriya carefully flipped a heart-shaped omelette with practiced precision. He glanced at the tray beside him, neatly packed miso soup, freshly sliced fruit, and a single pink peony in a small vase. "Hope she likes it," he murmured. From the staircase, soft footsteps padded down. Kyuka, still in one of Izuku's oversized UA shirts and her favorite headphones draped lazily around her neck, froze at the corner, eyes catching the soft flickers of effort and affection in the kitchen. "You made me breakfast," she said, yawning adorably. Izuku startled, holding the pan like a shield. "I was gonna surprise you." "Well, it's still a surprise. I mean, technically, you didn't see the tray yet." Good morning, Kyo." She smiled softly, walking over and stealing a slice of apple. "This counts. You're lucky I love dorks who cook." They ate on the balcony, just the two of them. The world felt slower. Quieter. More real. Multiple musical notes, music store shenanigans. Later that morning, they made their way downtown. Kyuka dragged Izuku into a vintage music shop near the center plaza, Electric Echo. Rows of vinyl records lined the walls, vintage instruments hung like trophies, and the warm scent of old wood and new sound filled the air. Izuku marveled at everything, while Kyuka navigated like a queen. "Oh my god, they have sonic reverb, live at the Kyushu Dome," she gasped, clutching the vinyl like a sacred relic. "Wait, isn't that the band that blew out the speakers during that one show?" Izuku asked, wide-eyed. "Blew out 2 stadiums. Absolute legends." She passed him a pair of headphones and pressed a button on the record player. The rich hum of bass filled the air, smooth, vibrating, immersive. Their heads nodded in rhythm, shoulders touching. A worker passed by, muttering, "Cute couple alert." Both flushed, then leaned into it. Noodles, lunch mishaps, and laughter. By noon, hunger called. Kyuka suggested a cozy noodle shop she visited with Momo once. Izuku, ever curious, offered to order for both. 2 spicy miso ramens, medium heat, right? The server returned with 2 bowls of lava. Izuku blinked. Kyuka smirked. Then they both coughed violently at the first bite, red-faced and laughing. "This is medium." Izuku gasped. "They must think we're pro-heroes with steel tongues." Eventually, they switched to a mild broth. Izuku pulled out a notebook, scribbling something as she sipped tea. "Watch your writing, nerd. Ideas for hero team-up tactics, and lyrics." Her eyes softened. "Read me one later. Only if you promise not to laugh." She leaned on his shoulder. "Never." Headphone back alley sound battle, spontaneous jam session. Walking through a quieter alley near the park, they heard a beat echoing from a speaker. A group of teens were holding a freestyle jam session, beatboxing, clapping, and inviting others to join. "Yo! Anyone wanna jump in?" one called. Kyuka raised an eyebrow. "Wanna embarrass ourselves?" Izuku shrugged. "I embarrass myself daily." She stepped in first, plugging her jacks into the portable amp and letting a rhythmic bass line thrum. The crowd owed. Izuku followed with soft taps, tapping metal piping and trash bin lids for percussion. The two synced naturally. The tempo shifted, rising and falling like breath, their flow intertwining. By the end, a small group had gathered and applauded loudly. "You're dating," someone shouted. Obviously Kyuka smirked, grabbing Izuku's hand. Very much so. Izuku blushed, but held tight. Cityscape at dusk, sunset on the bridge, emotional beat. As the sun began to dip, they sat on the edge of a bridge, legs dangling over the river. Kyuka broke the silence. "I'm scared sometimes, of how fast this is moving. You. Me. Us. And hero life." Izuku didn't rush to answer. He just leaned his head against hers. "Me too. But I'm not scared with you. If that makes sense." "It does," she said quietly. "You ground me." They watched the sky fade from orange to rose to purple, hands linked, hearts full. Scene, UA dorm rooftop, 7:43 p.m. The sky above UA had shifted from cotton candy hues to indigo velvet, stars poking through the dusk like scattered silver freckles. The rooftop of the Class 1A dorm was quiet, except for the warm hum of life far below and the soft breeze carrying the scent of spring and city. A gentle glow from a lantern-lit canopy illuminated the rooftop's far edge, blankets and soft cushions arranged into a cozy pillow fort. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment hideout. This was Izuku's gift. For her. Wrapped present, a rooftop surprise. Kyuka blinked in awe as they stepped out onto the roof. The fluttering white cloth overhead was strung between two low beams, fairy lights winding around poles and a low fire pit crackling nearby. "You did this, for me," she whispered, stunned. Izuku rubbed the back of his neck, sheepishly. I didn't know how else to show it all. I talk a lot. But for this, I wanted to make something that says what I can't." She didn't reply at first. Just stepped forward, fingers grazing the edge of a blanket, then turned to him. "I love you, Izuku Midoriya." And then she kissed him, soft, slow, full of meaning. The type of kiss that made time slow. "I love you too, Kyuka Jirou," he breathed. Fire, firelight and truth. They sat together near the small fire pit, warm flames flickering across their faces. Her head on his shoulder, his arm curled around her back. She noticed he was shaking a little, not from cold. "Aizu," she asked gently. "Something's on your mind?" He didn't answer immediately. Just stared into the fire, like searching for answers in the glow. "I've never really said it all, have I?" he finally whispered. "The whole truth. About how I see myself, how my quirk feels, why I'm so afraid sometimes." Kyuka lifted her head, sitting cross-legged to face him fully. "I'm listening." He exhaled slowly, the words trembling on his lips like glass ready to shatter. "My fire, it's always felt wrong. Even now, when I've trained and learned to control it, it still scares me. I used to wake up afraid I'd burn everything. I saw myself as dangerous. A walking accident." His fingers trembled. She placed her hand over his, steadying him. "And when I saw that no Mew, when I realized I knew him, I snapped. I didn't choose to kill. I just acted. And afterward, it felt like I'd become the thing I feared." Tears glimmered in the corners of his eyes, catching the firelight. "But then you came back into my life. With your calm. Your music. You made me feel like maybe I could write my own melody instead of just putting out fires. Kyuka's breath hitched, but she didn't cry. She reached up and touched his cheek, her own voice quiet but firm. I don't care if you burned a forest once. I care that you grew from it. I've seen you risk everything for people. I've felt your heart beat when you're scared but still fight anyway. She leaned in, nose to his, whispering. Your fire doesn't scare me. Because I know it could never hurt me. He kissed her then, desperate, soft, aching. And this time, it wasn't just a kiss. It was a confession, a promise, a thank you. His hands threaded gently through her hair. Her fingers curled against his chest. They laid back onto the cushions together, wrapped in each other's arms. Sparkle's pillow fort and stars above. Later, they were curled up inside the fort, blankets over them, a shared pair of earbuds playing low guitar riffs and soft indie vocals. Kyuka's head rested on Izuku's chest, his heartbeat thudding calmly beneath her ear. Do you ever think we're too lucky to have this? She asked. Izuku thought for a moment. No, I think we earned it. Every scar. Every long night. Every mission. This is what we fight for. Not just saving lives, but living ours. She smiled, eyes growing heavy. You get so poetic at night, hero. He laughed softly. Only for you, rockstar. The stars blinked above them. In the quiet between breaths, no villains existed. No pressure. Just two teens, burned and bruised and still here, finding peace in each other. Kyuka, stay with me forever, yeah. Izuku, always. They fell asleep wrapped in arms, a single lantern flickering beside them, casting shadows of their linked hands on the canvas above. Their love, like music and flame, burned steady and true. Sun morning UA dorms, 7:10 a.m. It was a quiet morning, well, at first. Class 1 had gotten used to early risers like Taida or Yaoyorozu getting breakfast going. But this morning felt oddly quiet. The usual voices were missing. More specifically, Izuku Midoriya and Kyuka Jirou were nowhere to be found. Frying pan with egg in the kitchen. Mina leaned on the kitchen counter, yawning. Anyone seen Izuku? Or Jirou? She mumbled. Taida looked up from his toast, adjusting his glasses. They're not in the training gym. Nor in the common room. I knocked on their doors, no answer. Momo frowned softly. They didn't show up for breakfast, that's not like them. Bakuga grunted from the corner, sipping coffee. Deku doesn't skip meals. Not unless something's up. Kirishima stretched, still chewing. Maybe they snuck out early. Mina's eyes sparkled with mischief. Or maybe they didn't go back to their rooms last night. Everyone froze. Left pointing magnifying glass operation, lovebird hunt. Tenya Taida whipped out a notepad. It is imperative that we locate our classmates. What if they are hurt? Denki threw his hands up. Or worse, what if they are on a secret date and didn't invite us to spy? Zuyu blinked. That's oddly specific, Kaminari. Mina elbowed Kirishima. Come on, muscle man. Let's go find our missing fire starter and rockstar girlfriend. Bakuga scowled but followed. Tree discovery, treehouse, rooftop edge. The quartet, Mina, Bakuga, Kirishima, and Momo, climbed the staircase to the roof. A light breeze met them, along with the faint smell of toasted marshmallow. Then they saw it. The treehouse. Lit with soft lanterns, still glowing gently even as the morning sun rose. Mina grinned. Oh my god, they totally slept out here. Bakuga narrowed his eyes. TCH. I'm not waking them up. But curiosity got the better of him. They walked quietly toward the open flap. And there, on the second floor, curled up in a soft tangle of blankets and limbs were Izuku and Kyuka. His arms wrapped protectively around her waist. Her head on his chest. Peaceful. Soft breaths in sync. And Mina's jaw dropped. Oh my god, is that a bite mark? Kirishima squinted. Wait, where? Momo turned beet red. Midoriya's neck, there's definitely. Bakuga turned away. Deku, you goddamn nerd. Teacup with handle 10 minutes later. The rest of the class saw 4 students return, suspiciously silent. Akako blinked. Did you find them? Mina nodded slowly, practically vibrating. Oh. We found them. Bakuga just grunted and stormed off, muttering. Dumbass finally learned how to kiss, huh? Sun behind small cloud back on the roof. Kyuka stirred first. She blinked, then looked up. Aiju. Morning. Izuku groggily opened one eye. Hey, Kyo. He smiled sleepily, brushing a strand of her hair behind her ear. That was the best night of my life. Kyuka leaned up to kiss his cheek. Same. But then she froze. Wait, did we forget to go back inside? Izuku sat up with a start. Oh no, oh crap, did anyone come looking? Kyuka's eyes widened. Izuku. She pointed. He turned his head to see a very visible bite mark on his neck. Oh. Oh no. Q collective groaning 9 o'clock scene 1, late arrival class 10, 9:07 a.m. Homeroom had already started. Aizawa stood at the front of the classroom, cocooned in his capture scarf, looking especially done with the world. 20 students sat silently, though silently was a stretch, because the tension was loud. A few were whispering. Everyone was waiting. And then the door slid open. In walked Izuku Midoriya, uniform slightly wrinkled, and Kyuka Jirou, cheeks faintly pink, holding her headphones nervously. The room went dead quiet. Izuku scratched the back of his neck. Ah, sorry we're late. Kyuka gave a tiny wave, avoiding eye contact. Mina was already biting her lip to contain a squeal. And then Duoud. Denki Kaminari blurted, pointing like a 5-year-old. You've got a hickey the size of Mount Fuji. Izuku froze. Kyuka's soul left her body. Momo gasped. From behind the podium, Aizawa didn't even look up from his tablet. Midoriya. Jirou. Don't let your extracurricular bonding distract you from class. Mina, dead. Bakuga, chuckling in disbelief. Taida, malfunctioning internally. Akako, very red. Strength training is at 3. I suggest you both show up with enough energy left to climb rocks and throw punches. The couple slipped into their seats. Izuku slumped forward. Kyuka dropped her face onto her desk with a thud. Books Scene 2, Morning Classes 4 Subjects in Detail. 1 Keycap Hero Analysis and Ethics, 9:15:10:00. Instructor, Cementos. Topic, the moral weight of intervention. Students debated high-risk civilian rescue in gray areas. Momo and Taida had a civil intellectual showdown. Izuku raised good points but was clearly tired. Kyuka participated, though her voice cracked more than once. Mina kept giggling. Cementos raised a brow at the tension and simply muttered. Young love is chaotic. 2 Keycap rescue planning, 10:10:11:00. Instructor, 13. Drill, group strategies for urban flooding scenarios. Denki, Zuiyu, and Shuji led effective evacuation plans. Izuku and Kyuka were partnered, forced to present. They made no eye contact during their presentation, but their plan was flawless, leading to a round of claps. Bakuga muttered. Even lovebirds got tactics, huh? 3 Keycap quirk logistics and law, 11:10:12:00. Instructor, midnight. Subject, quirk regulation laws across prefectures. Minta asked something inappropriate. Got taped to the wall. Jirou hid behind her textbook for most of it. Izuku asked a solid question about legal limitations on flame-based support during rescues. Midnight winked at him. Try not to get too heated, Hero tilde. 4 Keycap combat theory team tactics, 12:10:1:00. Instructor, All Might, guest. Group tactic breakdown of the Yakuza raid. Izuku tried to shrink in his seat. Kyuka gave him a supportive nudge. All Might praised certain students for outstanding instinct in live combat. Bakuga folded his arms but didn't protest. Bento Box Scene 3, Lunch Cafeteria Chaos, 1:051:50 p.m. Class 1 are gathered at their usual long table. Izuku and Kyuka tried to act normal, but Mina was 2 seconds from exploding. As Izuku sipped his water, a loud voice cut through the cafeteria. Omidori tilde. Monoma Nito, Class 1B's self-declared rival strutted over with his usual smug smirk. How's it feel to be the center of attention? First that display with overhaul, and now you're flaunting your love life on school property. Izuku didn't even turn. He calmly kept eating. Monoma blinked. Hello. I'm talking to. Kirishima leaned over. He's ignoring you, bro. Bakuga stood, cracking his neck. Try harder. Or don't. Monoma fumed and stormed off. Kendo waved awkwardly. Rock Scene 4, Strength Training Rock Climbing and Quirkless Spas, 3:005:00 p.m. Outside, the field was lined with massive vertical walls, grip holds scattered like landmines. Beside each was a dueling mat. Aizawa addressed them. Today is about control. No quirks. Just raw power, timing, and trust in your own physical skill. The class was split into pairs for 2 rounds. Up-pointing red triangle rock climb duel, 1v1 race to the top. Bakuga vs Kirishima, explosions nearly erupted, but Kirishima edged ahead by scaling with raw arm strength and sheer will. Akako vs Momo, float vs strategy. Momo tricked Akako by pretending to fall, then surged up the wall. Denki vs Zero, electric mess. Zero won. Izuku vs Kyuka. They stared at each other, both flushed. Then raced. Izuku climbed like a feral cat, Kyuka agile like a dancer. Final hold, tie. Both collapsed, laughing. Martial arts uniform quirkless spars 1-minute grapple rounds. Bakuga and Shuji, explosive temperament versus technique. Mineta forfeited immediately. Mina versus Taida, she ducked and danced, he couldn't keep up. Izuku versus Zero, close call. Izuku won on leverage. Kyuka versus Denki, she threw him immediately. After training, everyone was red-faced, sweaty, and laughing. Kirishima elbowed Izuku. Nice hiki, man. Izuku groaned. As the sun dipped low and the students stretched post-training, Kyuka leaned into Izuku's side. Think Asa was gonna scold us for everything today? Izuku smiled. Maybe. But it was worth it. Police cars revolving light scene 1, classroom murmurs, UA high 9:10 am. After strength training and lunch, Class 1A regained energy, whispers passed around about the loud buffet room, the squirrely lunch, the obvious hiki on Izuku's neck, blame Denki for that. But what no one suspected was their connection being exposed, it remained a silent secret. Mina, leaning over to Akako, whispered. They're practically glued together, but no one knows. Kirishima nodded, amused. Best kept secret ever. Kyuka and Izuku exchanged glances across the room, nervous, nearly flushed, but outwardly calm. No one guessed. Whole scene 2, down in the depths Shihasekai hideout. Under the city, far from hero eyes, Kai Chiseki lay awake in a dim, reinforced meeting room. Around him sat the remaining 8 bullets and masked figures from the Vanguard Action Squad, elite villains gathered with the Yakuza for the next stage. Pushpin overhaul, voice low. The heroes think they crippled us. That our orb research died in that raid. He lifted a folder showing a blueprint, a new underground safe house, drug lab, and training vault. They didn't find this one. It's deeper. Better fortified. And Eri is still usable. But our ambitions, they're larger. We will hit back. Dabi, silent until now, his eyes smoldering. League knows we succeeded. They'll want pieces of the plan. Overhaul's lips curled slightly. Let them spectate. The action squad is ours now. No heroes, or no naive students, should interfere again. Whispers around the room confirmed the plot, a multi-layered distribution network for quirk-erasing bullets and temporary quirk suppressant vials, selling fear and power back underground. Brig Scene 3, Classroom Routine Restoration, 1 p.m. At Lesson 5, strength training given through rock climbing duels and quirkless sparring, Class 1A showed resilience and teamwork, described earlier. Aizawa watched carefully, noticing how Izuku and Kyuka performed as a unit, their silent sync stronger than most pairs. They're stronger together, he thought. As final pairs wrapped up, Hanta vs Mineta forfeits, and Kirishima vs Bakuga had a shouting match over technique, they regrouped, sweaty and proud. Balance scale scene 4, villain strategy unfolds. Back in the Hasekai complex, Overhaul reviewed his next target list, key heroes from hero agencies, hero supplies, quirk-protected children, and hidden research vaults. He addressed the Vanguard Action Squad leader, Mr. Compress. Your team will support infiltration, assassination of key figures, sidelines beyond the raid. Force deterrence. Spread fear. Twice, anxious but loyal, quietly asked. What about Shigaraki and the League? Overhaul dismissed it. This is our territory now. We aren't puppets. The Vanguard Squad answers to me. This explicit alliance, League villains and old-school Yakuza together, marked a new terrifying shift. School Scene 5, Afternoon Debrief and Dorm Return, 5:30 p.m. Class 1A returned to the dorms, exhausted but exhilarated. Mina, Zero, and Denki cornered Izuku and Kyuka. Mina whispered, "You two owe us breakfast tomorrow." Izuku, flushed, "Sure." Kyuka, glancing at him, "We'll make it happen." They avoided eye contact about last night, a silent truce of embarrassment and affection. Meanwhile, Aizawa gave final instructions. Dinner at 7. Full report on the next hero rotations tomorrow morning. But his face lingered with worry. He did not yet know of the next attack looming under the city. Man Detective Late Night Patrol. Aizawa's observation, 2:14 a.m. Aizawa had never wanted this assignment, but as acting head of student safety, solo patrols through Muzutafu's seedier districts were routine. Tonight, it felt different. He slipped through winding back streets, reinforced mask in place, eyes scanning for minor threats, petty thefts, delinquent bruisers. Past midnight, the world dulls, and the whispers grow louder. That's when he saw them. A small group of masked men near an abandoned warehouse. Their mutters were tense. Aizawa paused in the shadows and listened in, scanning faces with infrared. Vanguards lining up. We strike at dawn. Trigger load and erasers ready. Class 1A set up at that festival, perks of the locations. Aizawa's chest tightened. LOV, League of Villains, recruits, plotting. He watched as a short, wiry figure handed out small black vials. Then another, motionless overseer, a man with white hair, loose clothing, crimson eyes turning cold. Overhaul. Aizawa recorded everything. Finished his patrol without incident. Returned to UA's faculty lounge before sunrise. Brain intelligence alert gathering authorities, 5:27 a.m. In a summer meeting room, Aizawa, Principal Nezu, and Detective Niomeza sat across from each other. Aizawa's voice was soft but urgent. I encountered LOV men, low tier, but preparing trigger-enhanced weapons and quirk-erasing bullets. They're targeting civilian events, including UA students. I watched them handing out vials near a warehouse. Nezu's fingers tapped the desk. Trigger-based weapons, that's new. Combined with erasers, they could incapacitate heroes in seconds. Niomeza's expression hardened. He's seen Yakuza intel before, but mixing with LOV. That's escalation. Niomeza, we need raids planned. Evidence secured. UA should prep security for public events immediately. Aizawa bowed his head. I'll advise staff. Students should be scheduled tightly. No unsanctioned nights out. And keep an eye on mid-level classes, like the festival. Nezu stood. Thank you, Aizawa. Prompt action could save lives. Sunglasses to Miura's lair. Vanguard Action Squad meeting, midnight underground. Dim lights, cold metal walls. The smell of electronics and fear. At a reinforced table sat Tamura Shigaraki, absent all grandeur, only pale and still. Around him were masked Vanguard operatives and a few 8 bullets. He stirred awake. Black decay faintly whispering across his fingertips. Speaking head sit him up. A subordinate helped Tamura into the center seat, cloth binding torn. Tamura, weakly, they think I'm broken. A low murmur spread. Mr. Compress, quiet and clipped, you needed to be healed. Dabi, arms crossed, watched him. Tamura let his head tilt, cracked smile twisting his face. Tamura. They aim for rising stars, children, UA festivals. They think removing quirks, removal of power, will paralyze heroes' society. He clenched a fist. Decay rippled across his sleeve. Tamura. They don't see that I'm the reset. That quirk erasers don't stop decay. They just delay me. He breathed deep. Tamura. We strike at the capo. The same city grid where heroes feel safe, their control will fall. They'll taste chaos. And I'll watch the forest burn. His pauses were empty, hungry. He looked over blueprints on the table. A city grid with marked nodes, festival grounds, UA Field, Hero Squad HQ, Yakuza Labs. Heroes. Tamura. The Vanguard Squad will hit, simultaneous strikes, mid-June. No hesitation. Dabi, Spinner, Toga, lead infiltration. Compress, break signals. Vanguard executes. His voice dropped. Tamura. Let the world watch heroes scramble. Fire dual worlds advance morning tensions and underworld resurgence. Across the city, as Class 1A prepared for early drills, heroes and police tightened security at public venues following Aizawa's warning. Meanwhile, Tamura's plan and the Yakuza's hidden labs moved into alignment. Aizawa walked the corridors of UA, glancing at the calendar, festival dates, training sessions. Concern shadowed his exhausted eyes. He knew this calm was fragile. Nezu and Neomasa placed undercover boots on watch, Ryukyu, Fat Gum, and Nighty adjusted class schedules. Everything to protect against that whisper of chaos. The sky was clear, and the sun was already pleasantly warm as Izuku, Bakuga, Momo, and Kyuka descended the UA dorm stairs. Momo had arranged the day's outing after hearing about the ongoing villain whispers. It was both a celebration and a chance to relax. Bakuga scowled at the brightness. Seriously? The mall? Momo grinned. Yes, it'll be fun. Izuku offered Kyuka his jacket. In case it gets cold inside. She smiled and slipped it on, their fingers brushing just for a moment. To arrival and window shopping, 10:20 a.m. They arrived at Everlight Plaza Mall, a multi-level beacon of shops, cafes, and bubbling fountains. The group moved through story fronts. Izuku admired a series of vintage hero memorabilia. Kyuka paused at a musical gadget store, smiling at pixel art of a guitar. Momo examined fashion displays. Bakuga muttered as he passed perfume counters. A mall singer's soft melody drifted from the central stage, where families and couples watched. 3 light escapades and comic relief, 11 a.m. They split up for an arcade challenge. Momo dominated air hockey, calling it Psyche Strike Preparation. Bakuga blasted through racing games, coach-like. Izuku tried crane machines, failing hilariously, but getting adorable stuffed toys. Kyuka quietly replaced Izuku's failed attempts with gentle picks, earning him a small plush guitar. They regrouped amidst laughter and playful teasing, drifting toward the food court. For lunch and deep conversations, 12 p.m. At Golden Grain Noodle, they sat in a semicircle. Kyuka and Izuku shared a bowl of Zooksman, their heads leaning in close as they ate. Soft exchanges of more broth, or need cold water, filled the quiet spaces. Bakuga devoured spicy ramen, hands steaming, eyes glaring at the bowl. Hot enough. Momo sipped her tea. That's the spirit, Katsuki. Between bites, Momo asked about hero classes. Izuku smiled, describing rescue strategies. Just like that typhoon drill. Kyuka teased. Bakuga scoffed but showed caring glints when Izuku mentioned training steps. 5 post-lunch wonder and musical discovery, 12:45 p.m. They strolled through a music instrument shop. Kyuka's eyes lit up upon seeing a vintage acoustic she'd wanted. Izuku read the plaque, Grand Alchemist steel strings, balanced 4-finger style. He gently held the neck as she strummed, simple chords echoing through the shop. An employee noted her talent. Stay as long as you like. She beamed, then passed the guitar to Izuku. He fumbled but laughed, his chord cracked, but its warmth filled her heart. She placed her hand over his on the fretboard, guiding him. 6 Cozy Cafe and Shared Secrets, 1:20 p.m. They wandered into Brew and Bloom, a cozy cafe upstairs. Inside, warm lights, plush couches, indie-chill tunes. They ordered. Kyuka, honey lavender latte. Izuku, hot cocoa with whipped cream. Bakuga, espresso shot. Momo, chamomile tea. Seated in an alcove, they chatted. Kyuka spoke of a song she was writing. Bakuga ranted, with gleeful annoyance, about having to hold back at patrol drills. Izuku suspected she was humming melodies behind his back. Momo teased them gently. Momo, so, any wedding bells yet? Kyuka and Izuku nearly choked on their drinks. Kyuka, Momo. Izuku, bright red marriage, down the road. Bakuga snorted. Momo laughed. The group relaxed deeper into friendship. 7 Leaving the cafe, 1:50 p.m. They left the cafe feeling warm, both from inside and from the eased worry. Kyuka carried her latte and lifted her guitar case. Izuku pocketed his leftover cocoa. Bakuga grumbled about caffeine jitters. Momo marveled at the relaxed crowd. They stepped into the corridor, but then, lights flashed around them. 8 Suspense and Cliffhanger, 2 p.m. Mall-wide announcement crackled. Attention shoppers, security alert. Please exit calmly from designated zones. Avoid crowding near the east courtyard. Bakuga's eyes lit cold. Lock arms. No separation. Izuku's mind raced, his body instinctively started warming, the familiar fire flickering beneath his jacket. Kyuka took his hand and squeezed. Momo and Bakuga flanked them protectively. No one understood why, yet. As they rounded the corner toward the east courtyard, the group froze. A masked figure raised a vial, face unseen, just a glimmer of black glass and calm menace. The security cameras around them went dark one by one. A hush swallowed the corridor. And as the masked villain stepped forward, the screen cut to black.